get my notes. So, in case you missed it, I already talked about all of the books that I read in September and absolutely loved or enjoyed. That should already be up on my channel. You can go and check out those books if you want. But now we're going to be talking about all of the books that I read that weren't so great. These are all the books that I gave 3 stars or lower. Books that I kind of feel like were a waste of my time. Some of them were just downright awful, and I genuinely would not recommend these to anyone. I don't think any of these books are worth your time. Actually, I will say I think there are a few on here that may be worth your time, but I still wouldn't recommend them. I think they're just entirely average and we could probably do better. So, the first book that I want to talk to you guys about is The Vow of Deception, which is the first book in a dark mafia romance series on Kindle Unlimited. And this was just the most ridiculous thing I have ever read in my life. Like what in the Wattpad hell was this? Like, this was so bad. I was hysterically laughing the whole time that I was reading this because it was just that level of ridiculous. It was, God. The next book I actually was going to talk about in the books that I loved from September, but the more that I thought about it, I kind of didn't love it that much, and so I'm putting it in the not recommended list. I'm going to drop my rating from a 4-star, I think maybe down to a 3 or a 2-star. And the book in question is To Love Jason Thorn, which I read because it's kind of popping off on TikTok at the moment. Everyone's kind of talking about this. Everyone's saying it's super sexy, it's super spicy, it's super sweet. I can see what they're saying, but I also can't. So this book is about Olive, who is in love with her brother's best friend, basically. From the age of a very, very small child. How old is she, like, at the start of this book? 6? 7? I don't know. She's young and she's just a little girl when she first meets Jason, her brother's best friend. I mean, they're young too. I think there's like a 3-year age gap between them, something like that. And we literally see the first time they meet as children, Olive says to him, well, I love you and we're like gonna get married. It's a whole conversation. It's a little bit cringe, whatever, children are dumb. But basically, Jason's home life isn't that great. One day when he's kind of like 17 or something, his mum dies and his dad comes like from this big city, I don't know, some LA, and takes Jason with him back to LA. Like, Jason has to move away. And basically Olive doesn't see Jason for years after that. Like, he moves, they lose all contact with each other. Obviously she has some unfinished business with Jason because she ends up writing a book, and it is very obvious that the male main character in this book is based off Jason. And so when the movie rights get sold and they say that they want Jason, who is now a very famous actor, to play the lead of the male main character in her book, it's kind of like a nightmare situation for Olive, obviously. I love a good friends to lovers romance, but this just kind of sucked. Like, we were getting told over and over again that Jason and Olive had this really great chemistry, they just couldn't see it because they were friends, but I couldn't even really see the chemistry. I couldn't really. If I'm being honest, it felt like Olive was kind of just hung up on this childhood crush that she had, and like, I get that's the whole point of like childhood best friends to lovers, like the crush never goes away, but it didn't feel like she actually really liked Jason as a person, like as he was as an adult. Like, I felt like they really needed to spend a little bit of time at getting to know each other. They really didn't. Like, the relationship development of them as adults was terrible, and a bunch of other people have pointed out that the very first like sex scene that they have together is technically like non-consensual because Olive is like extremely drunk. And I mean, like, when I was reading it, it's not like an icky scene in any way, but like, you can't deny that like she is nearly blackout drunk, and it's just a bit like not cute and not romantic at all. Very disappointing because there was also kind of a fake dating element in this story, which, if you were not aware, is like my favorite trope of all time ever. But this was just so bland. The next book I read was a short, I guess you could say, like erotic romance, and that was Games We Play. And basically the only way I can think of to describe this book is if you got on the Corpse hype train earlier this year. Oh my god, was that late last year? I think it was earlier this year. Anyway, if you heard anything about Corpse when he, was trending, this is essentially just like Corpse fanfiction. So for anyone who doesn't know, Corpse is like a faceless gamer online, and he like started getting a lot of attention and stuff like that, and people are really hung up on the fact that no one like knows what he looks like. Oh, and like his whole thing is that his voice is like super deep and super recognizable, right? Games We Play is a story about a faceless online gamer who has a very recognizable deep voice getting interviewed by, well, she's a journalist and interviewer, and like the way that this is just such, like, it genuinely just felt like Corpse fanfiction. Like the wish fulfillment in this, it was like just screaming at me off the page. Basically, this interviewer goes to this faceless gamer's house, and she gets there, she starts asking him some questions. 2 questions in, this guy is going like, yeah, people find my voice sexy, haha. And that is just like it. As soon as he says that, basically they're just jumping on each other, going off the rails. The interview is completely forgotten. It's like they have sex for the next like 24 hours. It was just bad. It was just bad. I mean, if you're looking for something kind of ridiculous, a little bit steamy, and which is short, this was very, very short. Sure, maybe pick this up if you want some published Corpse fanfiction. This is the book for you. Unfortunately, it was not the book for me. Next, I don't even want to talk to you guys about the next couple of books that I read. Basically, I read a series of short, smutty erotica romances which were suggested to me after I read Little Dove, which was like a taboo kind of age gap romance that I read. Really enjoyed. I talked about it in my other wrap-up video. So like, seeing as these were suggested right after I finished that, I thought I would give these a go. And you know what? If you're looking for some very, very short, very, very erotic with a kind of age gap taboo trope, then these will do it for you. These are definitely like weird and definitely taboo, the relationships between them. Sometimes the age gaps are like 15 plus years, sometimes it's less so, but the like meet cutes are a little bit weird. You can't even call them meet cutes. Like 2 of these books, the female main characters are like criminals. I'm pretty sure both of the criminals that they are like thieves, and like that's how they meet their older male love interests. They're like trying to steal from them in some way, and then the guys catch them and they go, I guess you're gonna have to be punished for trying to steal from me, and I will do that by making you have my children. And like, maybe the fact that I don't like children is why this like series worked for me. The whole thing about this series is that it's like all of these guys just want to have kids, and that's like it. But you know what? I also feel like that's the reason why I read them all. These were all very, very short. I read all like 6 of these stories in one night. And I think the fact that I just like hate the idea of pregnancy and giving birth, these books felt so taboo to me, because I've been reading like taboo romance since I was a teenager. Like in high school, fanfiction, Wattpad, I was writing this stuff at like the age of 14. Nothing really shocks me that much. Nothing really makes me think, ooh, that's a bit naughty, ooh, that's a bit taboo, but these really did. Anyway, aside from the content, the writing in this was atrocious. Like spelling mistakes, sentences that were missing words, run-on sentences that were obviously just like kind of like cut and paste together. I took a risk reading these, and I wish I hadn't. The next 2 books, the last 2 books that I want to talk to you guys about, a little bit different. They were both like 3-star average reads. So the first one that I want to talk to you guys about, Dear Love, I Hate You. This is like a high school enemies to lovers romance on Kindle Unlimited. Think Punk 57 Bully by Penelope Douglas vibes. That's essentially kind of what this book is. And like, it wasn't bad. I think the story was told pretty decently well. The characters weren't super annoying. I think like the high school drama was decent. Like, it was actually pretty good, whereas usually a lot of high school drama is kind of just stupid. This was actual serious drama that had actual serious repercussions, and it was kind of interesting to see. The thing is, I just think I've just outgrown romances that are set in high school. I definitely think if you are below the age of 20, you could probably read this and enjoy this, especially if you're looking for like some kind of more explicit high school romances. Both of our characters in this, I think, are 18, so they have sex and it's on page, it's not fade to black. So if you're looking for that, that'll do it. But just like overall, this this book was just like, it did nothing for me. Like, I felt nothing while I was reading this. Like, as I said, the story was fine, the story was good. It wasn't bad, I didn't hate it, but that's the thing, I didn't love it either. I genuinely felt nothing. And I mean, with the last book, kind of similar situation, Your Dad Will Do, which is a book I've kind of been meaning to read for a while. I really want to get through all of Katie Roberts' backlist. I think her short smutty stories are pretty good. This is one of those short smutty stories, very similar to The Doctor by Nikki Sloan. Girl breaks up with her boyfriend, gets with her ex's dad. Actually, no, this one is a little bit different actually, because she finds her fiance cheating on her. I'm getting these ex-boyfriend's dad stories mixed up in my head. Oh my god, they were all the same. And like, that's the problem. Earlier in the month, I'd read The Doctor by Nikki Sloan, which was really good. Like, it did this trope so well that reading Your Dad Will Do, it was like reading the exact same story. Like, I think in terms of ex-boyfriends' dads' romances, Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas will always be my fave. I absolutely love that. It's mostly because actually it's really not that smutty in comparison to Your Dad Will Do and The Doctor. Like, I like Birthday Girl. I think it's like a really sweet romance. The Doctor, solid, sexy, fun. Your Dad Will Do, like, at this point I'm like, it's just been done before. Like, unfortunately it was the last of these that I read, and so I'm just like, I don't think I can get anything new out of this trope, out of this relationship, out of this romance. It's just been done before. I just don't think that this is the best ex-boyfriend's dad book out there. Definitely had less to say about the disappointing reads of September, which honestly I'm very happy about. I don't like disliking books, hating on books, but I genuinely want the information out there that these books are not worth your time. But if you want some books that I think are worth your time, you can go check out the other part of this wrap-up video where I talk about all of the books that I loved in September. Overall, I think I said this at the start of the video, I read 15 books in September, which honestly is really, really great. I definitely was in like a bit of a reading slump at the end of the month, but I'm back into reading. Very excited to talk to you guys about everything that I read in October. But until then, I will see you guys with another video sometime soon. Bye!